Hey everybody. So this morning I had my phone interview and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it. It went a little differently than I had expected it had, even with all the changes that were going on. So my interview started 15 minutes late, so I was scheduled for 10 a.m. But she called at 10:15 and it came up restricted. Let's see, my interviewer's name was Andrea. She was really sweet. She sounded like really bubbly and friendly and things like that. We got off to a good start that way. She went over like the basics. She, checked what school I was going to, what my major was, when I was going to graduate, things like that. And then she started talking about the general questions, like would I be willing to work outside in the Florida heat? What about lifting heavy, boxes, things like that. And then we discussed some of my work experience. And I think this is going to differ a little for some people because I've done the program before. So one of the first things she asked me for work experience was there any other work or volunteer experience that I had that I didn't get a chance to put on the application. So I mentioned how I had some retail experience and I worked at a movie theater before as well, but that my most relevant experience with the hotel, my RA job, and working for Disney before was the most relevant. And so she tailored a couple questions to me differently, I think, because of the previous program. So she asked me when I'd done the program, where I worked on the program. And one of the most significant questions she asked me was, since I've done the program before, what do I think I would get out of by completing the program a second time? So I think that I wasn't really expecting that. I figured she might ask me something more about why do I want to do the program again, or something along those lines. But I think I did a pretty good answer. I talked about how I felt that I was more ready to take part in a second program, and that I feel like I could learn a lot more from a second program than I did in the first one. Just really take advantage of the skills that I can learn. We talked a lot about work experience and my different skills. She asked me, tell me about a time when you had a difficult guest. And so I talked about some experiences at the hotel and things like that. We didn't go over the top roles or the most experienced roles until really near the end. I made sure I stressed a lot about the hotel that I worked at, so that I could really go towards the hospitality and concierge roles. But when we did get to the roles, she asked me because based on my past experience and my skills, what roles do I think I would fit really well into, and then that's where I could explain the my top 3 that I told you guys about in my last video. It went really quickly. I was done by 10:34, so it was really just like 15, not even 20-minute interview. It was really fast. I prepared for the questions. Remember I mentioned how I printed out some sample questions and things, but I didn't have to answer a lot of them. One of them I did have to do was actually how would you handle an emergency, or basically I think she said something about how would you, or how have you handled an emergency before, or if you haven't, how would you handle an emergency? So that one was pretty easy. I've never really had to do any big emergency scenarios, but I mentioned how as an RA I have to wrangle a whole bunch of residents when, say, a fire drill happens. But I discussed what I thought I would do if there was like a bigger emergency and things like that. I think it went pretty well. She was really nice, very calm, and I think the interview went pretty well because we were laughing a lot and having fun on the phone, so I think it was interesting. I'm fairly confident with how it went. I think it's just going to be a matter of if there's space for me in the positions they like. And one thing she did mention was that I should check my dashboard regularly, but that they're looking to be finished hiring by the end of March. So I know a lot of you might be worrying about that. So hiring by the end of March, everyone should know whether they've made the program or not. It seems like they're wanting to get this round of applications done and, you know, completely done with the process early. So yeah, I thought I'd let you guys know about that. Other than that, we didn't really discuss a whole lot. I think it had a lot to do with making, you know, because I've done the program before, so she could skip some of the questions. I know with a lot of the questions she did ask, she kept saying, well, I know since you've done the program before, you're probably already aware of this or comfortable with this and things like that. So she would, like, asking questions like the being out in the Florida sun or the cash handling, things like that. She's like, I know you worked in merchandise, so you're probably good with this, but I just need to ask a question anyways. You know, things like that. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty quick. I know some of you, especially for the first time appliers, are probably going to have a slightly longer interview depending on your roles and things like that. They have to go over, make sure that you know the Disney look. She did ask me if I had any tattoos, so I discussed how I had one on the back of my shoulder and I have one on the inside of my wrist. And she asked, this was a different question that I didn't have before. She asked how big they were, and it seemed like she was typing that down. So, you know, I did explain how big I thought each of the tattoos were. And this is something new as well. She asked if I'd be willing to use makeup to cover up the tattoos, so especially the one on my wrist. I told her that it can usually be covered by a watch, but she asked if I'd be willing to use makeup to cover up, and I said of course I would. I wouldn't mind doing that at all, which is different because before, if you had any visible tattoos, it was harder to place you, especially for costuming purposes. But it seems like that's not really something that'll preclude you from getting a job or into other positions that you might want anymore. So that's kind of nice. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much, that's it for the phone interview. I guess I will just keep you guys updated and just keep checking my dashboard regularly. I'm hoping that I'll find out within the first couple weeks, just because I've heard that that's what they've been doing lately. But with her saying that, you know, we'll know by the end of March, it still gives it like 2 months that I have to wait, potentially. But it's better than what I would, you know, thought maybe I would have to wait for. I thought the applications were open until the end of March, and then they'd keep, you know, hiring and stuff after that. But I guess they want to get everybody done and out of the way now. So, yeah. I will probably post another vlog in the next few days discussing some things about merchandise, since I know most about that, in case anybody is looking to do merchandise. And then maybe another one on the magical moments that I mentioned in my last vlog. Some of the stuff that I got to do with the kids and some of the other guests in my first program. So yeah, look forward to the next one, and I will see you guys later. Bye.